All right, y'all. So I know most of you already heard. I know a lot of people have been thinking that Holly Holm just got cut from the UFC, but no, Holly Holm decided to part ways with the UFC to jump into some other ventures now. I was just reading through this article on MMAfighting.com. I already, saw it a few days ago, but a lot of people were still, hit me up saying, "Oh, Holly Holm got cut. They finally let her go because she was losing." Well, yes, she was losing, but I still think the UFC was going to hold on to her for as long as they could. And as a matter of fact, she still has some fights under her contract. But yeah, just reading through this article on MMAfighting.com, it said here on Monday, Holmes' longtime manager confirmed to MMA Fighting that she requested and was granted her release from the UFC roster. While Holmes still had some fights left on her contract, the promotion released her, and now the former bantamweight champion is free to sign with a new organization. All right. So as y'all know, Holly Holmes, she's already 43 years old, hasn't had the best run in the UFC since winning the belt from Ronda Rousey way back, 2015 now? Yeah. But since then, she's always kind of been that staple for them, as far as like bringing in that certain demographic that was more attracted to the look. I'm just being real. But yeah, my thoughts on Holly Holm parting ways with the UFC. I'm glad to hear it at this point. As a Holly Holm fan, I was a fan of her back when she was, in karate and kickboxing and boxing. The undisputed champion in boxing. I was always a fan of her there. So when she jumped over to the UFC, I was glad to hear it. From LFA to the UFC, I wanted to see a boxer actually represent I wanted to see a Holly Holm represent a boxer coming over to MMA, because a lot of boxers, when they were first going over to MMA, they were always losing, getting choked out and whatever, but Holly Holm, when she first took on Ronda Rousey, everybody was picking Ronda. I said, you know what? I think Holly's going to do this. She's got the style to do it. And she did it, right? But since then, she hasn't really showed that evolution throughout some of her fights. She would still beat like the C levels and some B level fighters, but she could never really just rise to that occasion and just beat somebody on that elite level again, right? Whether it was GDR, Valentina, or Chris Cyborg. So my thoughts on her leaving now, I think it is a good idea. I think it is a good idea for her to step away, at 43 years old. But the sad thing is, though, I'm not sure if she's just like leaving to just stay out of fighting, period. She could be going to another organization. I mean, shoot, she could go over to global fighting. GFL just signed a bunch of fighters, the young and the old, or she could be jumping over to PFL. She could be trying to jump over to PFL to maybe try to get a little bit more money from how they do their tournaments. But as y'all know, PFL just cut their tournaments down from the $1 million grand prize to 500,000 now. So everybody's kind of downsizing right now. But yeah, I think it's just a good idea for Holly Holm to get away from the UFC. The elite level of fighting. Whenever she hasn't really evolved that much, and some of the losses towards the end of her career were just brutal. Kayla Harrison, even the Myra Buena Silva loss. Those type of fights like that, I think are just kind of hard on her. But one area I think she might be running to right now, she hasn't really spoke on yet, but I'm just kind of putting two and two together here. Is I saw her at the I think it was like a BYB event, whatever it's called. It's another form or organization of bare knuckle boxing. It's like extreme bare knuckle boxing or something like that. I saw her there, and she was talking about the sport of bare knuckle boxing. Like, this is a fun thing to watch. It's extreme. They get started. It seemed like something she's into. So she could be signing with them, or she could sign with BKFC. She could be signing with BKFC. But as we know, the dangerous thing about that is, bare knuckle boxing really is no joke. Next to MMA, maybe even worse. These fights, they end in such brutal fashion. I mean, I was sitting down binge watching bare knuckle boxing one night, and every fight was in. I couldn't even get up. I couldn't even get up because every single fight was ending in like 30 seconds. And even though it ended in 30 seconds, everybody was getting up with like a big gash on their face, or almost like half their eye hanging out. You know what I mean? So bare knuckle boxing is a different animal. And I know Holly Holm comes from boxing, but she's been in so many wars now, and it's taking its toll on her. Yeah, physically she looks good, but like I always say, we just never know what's going on the inside with these fighters. So uh I don't know. I mean, shout out to Holly if she wants to do it. I'll check it out. But as of now, Holly Holm leaving the UFC. If she's leaving MMA altogether, I don't know. She's leaving with a 15-7 resume. Let's take one last look at her UFC record. Let's see what she's leaving off with. All right, so she's won 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so she's leaving the UFC with an 8, and let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She could 8-7 with one no contest. 8-7 with one no contest. Almost an 8-8. She's leaving almost at an 8-8 record. If you want to count that MBS loss, right? So yeah, she didn't necessarily leave with the best record, but she did leave a good statement. I mean, Holly Holm, she always kind of had that Evander Holyfield vibe to me, where she doesn't duck anybody. You never heard Holly Holm say, I'd rather fight this person, or say, oh, this person ain't worth it. She never said anything like that. Like whenever the Valentina fight came to it, the Chris Cyborg fight, she wanted those fights. She moved up to featherweight to fight her. I never heard Holly once say, I'd rather take this fight instead, or this person means nothing to me. You know what I mean? Like, she's never said anything like that. She's always had that mindset that I can be champion again. I mean, it's kind of a dangerous mindset, especially when you haven't really evolved and you're around a lot of dangerous styles. But that's one thing I always got to give Holly Holm a lot of respect for, is, she's always fought everybody. Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson. It doesn't matter who it was. You throw that fighter her way, and she's going to fight him. I mean, the one thing I'm going to kind of wish that we did get to see was Pena versus Holm. That was one fight I would always wanted to see. I wanted to see that happen. But if Holly couldn't get back into that, into that type of tier and perform at that level, that's all right. So yeah, Holly Holm leaving or parting ways with the UFC. From here, let's check this article. Nothing else is going on right now. While she never reclaimed the UFC title during her run with the promotion, Holm was a constant presence near the top of the rankings, while knocking off several contenders like Rocky Pennington, Irene Aldana, and Betch Coer. Now Holm enters free agency for the first time since he joined the UFC roster a decade ago. All right, so yeah, now a free agent off the UFC roster. What's going to be next for her? I don't know. I'm kind of hoping it's not bare knuckle boxing though, guys. What do y'all think? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.